Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jumoke Akintelo, and I'm the hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works, and Maribel is the clerk for this hearing. The hearing is being recorded, and you can contact us through the director's office for information on the agenda. Public comments, members of the public may address me as the hearing officer on matters that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. This public hearing is being held for hearing order as per the agenda, which Maribel, I believe you've put in the chat for everyone to see. There are two items on the agenda this morning. I have hearing order number 212284, and this is an administrative hearing to hear public testimony and receive any written correspondence on the proposed action and consider approval of the Isleris Creek Bridge. Apologies, I don't know how to pronounce that. I've tried it so many times, but I keep getting tongue twisted. So the proposed approval is for the modified preferred project variant as described in the final environmental impact review of the San Francisco Planning Commission motion number M21864 held on November 6th, 2025. And the other item, Maribel, can you read that for us on the second order number on the item on the agenda today?
Yes. So it's hearing order 212284. This order is to supersede order number 212275. Director's hearing to accept testimony and public input on a director's order to approve the Isleris Creek Bridge Project, California Environmental Quality Act, findings, statement of overriding consideration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. San Francisco Public Works is the sponsor of the Isleris Creek Bridge Project.
Thank you. And the second item on the agenda?
That was the second item.
Okay.
Did you want me to read the first item?
The first item, please.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and okay. And then the first item is hearing order 212258 to consider notice to repair number 1251977 and notice of violation and abatement order 1284948. The notice is regarding unpermitted driveway of 69 Coleridge Street.
Thank you very much. So my job as the hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make determination. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I'll forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to the director. The director will make the final decision on the approvals. So the hearing will proceed as follows. For the first item on the agenda, I'll ask Public Works staff to speak, present the item, give us an overview of the agenda, and describe how we arrived at today's hearing. After, I will have speakers in the following order. I will ask those who submitted any written comments come up to speak. Anyone in opposition of the approval will speak, and then anyone, the applicant and anyone supporting the applicant will speak. Then lastly, any city agency, including Public Works, can speak and comment on any of the speakers. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers. When you hear the first bell, it means the speaker has 30 seconds left to speak. A louder second bell will signal that time is up. You would share your comments, questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or the public. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit a written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. If I feel that a question is warranted, I will ask the questions. After all comments are completed, I will close the agenda item. So we will now begin with the first agenda item, which is the abatement on college. You shared the screen. Can you share the screen again, please? So we see that. Yes, thank you. Okay. Okay. So we're beginning with.
So Jim, okay, I put the order up and then I'll let Jason put his stuff up. Okay.
Thank you. So we're starting with this first hearing order 212258, which is notice to repair number 1251977, notice of violation. So please go ahead, Jason.
Good morning. I'm Inspector Mays. I'll be reading the PowerPoints here. So the Accelerated Sidewalk Abatement Program, ASAP, inspects and expedites corrective action for sidewalks in extremely poor condition along the residential and commercial thoroughways as defined by the city's Better Streets Plan. The program inspects and expedites corrective action on claim and accessibility-related sidewalk complaints, as well as outstanding notices and high-priority pedestrian right-of-way conditions referred by the public and verified by inspection staff. So we're talking about 69 Coleridge Street. The request for action, or RFA number, is 2153-3424, block 5610A, lot 026. The address is 69 Coleridge Street. The RFA number is the original RFA number. There are subsequent RFA numbers that we refer to the original when we have duplicates of the same complaint. So the hearing date's today. The first notice to repair was on 2/21/2024. It was mailed 2/22/2024. The second notice was mailed 3/27/2024. As posted was the second notice was posted at 3/27. The second notice was mailed 3/27. The blight notice was posted 10/10, and the blight notice was mailed 10/10. And the repairs are pending. The property owner is Ms. or Mrs. Linda Ennis. Okay, so these are applicable codes. Section 706, owners of frontage responsible for repair, liability for unsafe conditions. It shall be the duty of the owners of the lots or portions of lots immediately adjacent to any portion of a public street, avenue, alley, lane, court, or place to maintain the sidewalks and sidewalk area, including any parking strip, parkway, automobile runway, and curb fronting the adjacent to their property in good repair and condition. This duty shall include removal of any unpermitted structure, including but not limited to unpermitted public telephones installed in the sidewalk adjacent to the property. Any person who suffers injury or property damage is as a legal result of the failure of the owner to so maintain the sidewalks and sidewalk areas shall have cause of action for such injury or property damage against such property owner. The city and county of San Francisco shall have a cause of action for indemnity against such property owner. For any damages, it may be required to pay as satisfaction of the judgment or settlement in any claim that results from injury to persons or property as a legal result of the failure of the owner to maintain the sidewalks and sidewalk areas in accordance with this subsection. Basically, that means the property owner is responsible for the sidewalks fronting their property. Jason, thank you. Section 706, owners of frontage responsible for repair liability for unsafe conditions. Failure of the owner to maintain the sidewalks and sidewalk areas as set forth in this subsection A also shall constitute a public nuisance for the purposes of the Port of San Francisco property within Pier 70 special use districts. The definition of the term owner as used in section 706 through 706.9 is set forth in section 706.10. So this is the first NTR, or notice to repair, that was mailed on 2/22/24. And down here, you can see the defects listed: abandoned unpermitted driveways. That's listed there. Sunken uneven sidewalks, that's listed there. Sunken uneven sidewalks, driveway curb, wings, listed there. This is 2/22/24. This is, go ahead, Jason, thank you. So this is an image here to the right above the red railing. You can see a piece of paper taped with blue tape. There you go. And these dots signify where the driveway curb needs to be made to curb level and the sidewalk flush. These are also the same photos. This is a posting that I did on 3/22/24. Driveway is marked with white dots. We use white paint to signify what the property owner's responsible for. Sometimes you'll see green or orange or yellow or blue paint. Those are for different agencies to repair. In this case, white dots signify the property owner's responsibility. Go ahead, Jason. So these photos are, again, just showing that there is no there's no garage. This driveway curb cut just leads to a wall. And without a driveway, you cannot have a driveway curb cut. This is on 10/10/25, my ASAP abatement posting, front and back. This is the mailing, and on the mailing, it lists some options. I put this post-it note because this box shows that the property owner has the opportunity to have the city and county do the repairs and bill them, but this is not an option. So I just wanted to make that clear when I mailed this out via snail mail or US Postal. The white dots that you saw in the earlier photos have been replaced by white X's, which is to signify that an ASAP notice has been posted. So we go from dots to X's, and that's probably on our end, so we know that it's been posted for ASAP. This is another copy of the mailing, the ASAP mailing, and it had ASAP fee. I don't think I see it on this one. It might be on the next one. Jason. And this is copies of, it goes out certified. All ASAP mailings go out certified mail to the property owner. And as you can see here in the top, it was signed and delivered. And we get this green card back, which we file away with other papers pertaining to the ASAP notice. Thank you, Jason.
Okay. Is the homeowner here? Do we have any, do we have any public comments on this before I call on the homeowner? Any public comments? Okay.
Officer Taylor, there are no hands up at this time.
Okay. So is the homeowner here? No.
They were, yeah, there they are.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Hi there. Hello?
We can hear you. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, I
Oh.
have no issue.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ms. Ennis. Officer Taylor, I need to make sure that they only get 3 minutes at this time.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so you
I'm
start
going to
here.
starting there. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
I thank you for having this hearing. I would like to call to your attention our first notice, which was actually in 10/13/23, which was simply to repair some minor cracks in the sidewalk and to repair the sewage cover. I immediately contacted a recommended contractor, Mr. Gonzalez, who's been with the city for over 25 years. We mapped out what to do. We called the inspector, who was O'Brien Buchanan. We all had a meeting, and I said, is it all during the meeting to look at what would be repaired again? And I sent copies of all of this to Mr. Mays. The contractor, Mr. Gonzalez and O'Brien, and my son was there also. I said, I don't ever want to have to deal with this again. I want to do this right. And is it okay to retain this curb cut, which has been here for over 50, maybe 60 or 70 years? I'd like to retain that. And they said, oh, sure, that's fine. I said, oh, okay. I also sent to Mr. Mays notices from Mr. Gonzalez when he had all the structures in place to pour the concrete, including the curb cut, and said you can come out and inspect this if you like. And then it was done, beautifully, beautifully done. I have no contest with that. And then 3 months later, I get a different notice that we cannot have the curb cut. The original, I'm retired. It was nearly $12,000 to do that original work, which was very difficult for me, but I wanted to be compliant and do what the city wanted. And when I noticed we had to correct the curb cut, that we could not have the curb cut, which a city inspector told me, or the DPW, I know those two departments work together, that had said was fine. Mr. Gonzalez said it would be over $6,000 because of the slope to repair that. And I just feel like that is very unfair. I tried to do what the city originally asked me to do. Now the city's asking me to do something else, and it will be a financial burden for me.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Okay. Since she didn't get that bell, the warning, I'll just give her 30 seconds to round up, if that's okay. So please go ahead, Miss Linda, round up. 30 seconds.
So I am willing to do this correction. However, I do not feel like I should be financially responsible for something that was initially approved by the city. Even
Okay.
the verbal approval, they were also given notice and pictures, which I did send to Darren Mays before concrete was even poured. So there was ample time.
Thank you. You'll have 2 more seconds.
That's all.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any other hands up in response to this? Okay.
Excuse me, how do I can't figure out how to put my hand up.
Okay, no, I was going to ask you questions anyway. So there isn't additional public comment. So you please go ahead with your response, and then I have a couple of questions of my own.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm looking into the notes of the original RFA, and I'm going to go through the timestamps of what happened at this address. And
Okay.
I'm going to use initials for the inspectors that were out there.
Okay.
So on 2/22/24, Inspector AG mailed the first notice. On 3/7/24, I posted the final notice. On 3/27/24, I mailed the final notice. On 4/12/24, the property owner was granted a 45-day extension, good to 5/27/24, and that was me. On 5/10/24, the note says, left message for owner that curb needs restoration to standard height as there's no garage nor off-street parking. That was Inspector MC. On 12/12/24, Inspector AG was back out there and took photos and put in the notes that the issue remains. On 10/10/25, I posted the ASAP. And then 10/20, I spoke with the property over the phone. She requested this hearing. And then today is the hearing.
Thank you very much. So she did say that she got a verbal authorization to do the work from one of the inspectors. Do you have that in your records as to who gave her verbal authorization to do the scope of work that that she has?
No, ma'am. She
Okay.
mentioned that to me when I spoke with her on 10/20,
Okay.
but BSM here on the third floor, we have district inspectors, we have utility inspectors, and we have street improvement inspectors. So I believe when she was speaking with an inspector and the concrete contractor, that was an inspector from street improvement. And we sit next to each other, but we don't really wash each other's hands or let the other guy know what's happening. So I reached out to the supervisor for street improvement, and he told me that another inspector was out there, and I have not been able to speak with that inspector about any verbal agreements. And I didn't see it
Okay.
anywhere in my notes.
So you don't have it anywhere in your notes that an inspector from Public Works was out there and then gave her verbal authorization, gave the homeowner verbal authorization to do this work. And so it was in a conversation with you. On what date was that again that she called you to notify you of this verbal authorization?
That was on 10/20 last
10/20.
October. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that was the last notice you sent, correct? After that?
I posted the notes on 10/10.
And she
That was the
called
last
you.
thing I posted. And then on 10/20, I spoke with her on the phone.
Okay, and we haven't been able to find who gave this authorization, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Not on
Okay.
my end. I looked into it, not on my end.
Okay, thank
And
you very much.
there's no notes about a verbal authorization.
Okay, so this is October 2024, and we are now in, it was 2024, I saw the date, October 2024, correct?
The ASAP was sent on October 25, but
Okay,
the original,
2025.
we don't post ASAP until the problem has not been resolved for a year or more. And the
Okay.
original was 2/22/24.
24. Okay, so it's been over a year. And then I also saw on your PowerPoint presentation that the work was pending.
The original, she repaired the sidewalk but left the curb cut, and there's no garage there.
Okay, I noticed that, so I was trying to figure out why we had that curb cut and there's no garage, and I don't know that you can park. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to get clarification on what work is pending, so that's what I'm unclear on.
The curb cut, the restoring the driveway curb cut is pending.
Okay, it's pending. Okay, restoration. Okay.
Officer Akin Taylor, we have Ms. Inez's hand is raised. If you would like to let her speak once again, it's up to you.
1 second. I would take additional public comments before I let her speak again. So is there any other hand up, or that's the only hand up? Is there any other speaker in support of the homeowner on the call that's supporting? Okay.
I
Ms.
do
Linda?
not see any
Okay.
hands up at this time, except
Linda?
for Ms. Inez.
Okay, go ahead. We're just going to give you can you start the time now?
And
Okay.
how many minutes would you like for
2
her?
minutes will be
2
fine.
minutes, okay.
And then 30 seconds notice before the 2 minutes is up. Thank you. Go ahead, Miss Linda.
Hi, this is Harrison, Linda's son. So I just want to stress that the original notice to repair Inspector Mays, you've mentioned the 24 date multiple times, but the original notice to repair was 10/13/2023, and that notice only included damaged holes or cracks in the sidewalk and missing or damaged sewer vent. And so that's the original notice to repair we got. That's the notice to repair that we fixed. We did all of that work, and then subsequent to that, you gave us the second notice to repair, which you've been describing as the first notice to repair in this call. But in reality, that was a subsequent notice to repair that came after we did all of the work that the city asked us to do. So I just want to clarify that.
And I would also like to add that I sent to Darren Mays photocopies or copies of the email and pictures that were sent by Mr. Gonzalez, the concrete repairer, to O'Brien Buchanan, who was the inspector, saying, we are ready to pour if you want to come out and check this again. And then we asked for a final okay from the city, and the concrete company said that they let the city know it was done, and
30 seconds left.
if they don't get any reaction back, then everything's okay, and they closed the permit. So I was under the assumption that everything had been okayed by the city, and was shocked and upset to receive this additional citation 3 months later.
Yeah, I think this is just flagrantly unjust because we did everything that the city asked us to do, and now
Thank you. The time is up.
Thank you very much. So if you have additional comments, you can send that, you can present your written statements, and then I would review that as part of my review on this case. So, okay. Do we have additional public comments on this?
Just one last thing, if the property owner submits a permit to create a garage space, then we will waive the ASAP fee and the notice, provided that a garage is built there.
So that's the condition, to waive the ASAP fees if there is an application to have a garage built.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Do we have any other public comments? All right. Mr. Mays, any other comments on your part before I close this hearing, this order number?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So in the absence of any other comments, this order number is now closed, and I will send my findings on this to the Public Works Director. So we're going to move to hearing order number 212284, the administrative hearing or public testimony or on the proposed action and approval of the Eastleys Creek Bridge project. Do we have any public comments on that? Okay, go ahead. If I can have Mr. Thomas, the Public Works staff, to speak on this project. Make your presentation, please.
Thank you. I'm just going to load my presentation and let me know when the PowerPoint shows up on the screen.
It's up.
Okay, great. Let me start this presentation. Okay. Thank you. Good morning, Hearing Officer Akin Taylor, and thank you for your time. My name is Thomas Reutman. I'm the Public Works Project Manager for the Eastleys Creek Bridge project. I'd like to see how I can advance this. Just bear with me. Okay. I'd like to give a brief presentation that provides an overview of the project, its goals and objectives, the environmental review process, and our request for project approval by the Director of Public Works. A draft order to approve the project has been prepared for your and the Director's review. I'll now give an overview of the City Department roles as it pertains to environmental review. The San Francisco Planning Department is responsible for the environmental review. We've worked closely with the planning department through our Regulatory Affairs Bureau since the inception of the project and the environmental studies, the development of a draft environmental impact report or EIR, and through the certification of a final EIR. This past Thursday, November 6th, the SF Planning Commission certified the EIR at a public hearing. Public Works is the project sponsor and is responsible for managing all aspects of the project from planning through construction. This hearing today, November 12th, 2025, is specifically to request approval for the project by adopting the CEQA findings, statement of overriding considerations, and mitigation and monitoring and reporting program per the EIR certified by the Planning Commission. The SFMTA is responsible for traffic and transit management, which is a large component of our project due to the construction impacts to transportation. Public Works has closely coordinated with SFMTA through the public outreach phase of the project and in developing transportation plans and mitigation measures. The SFMTA board will meet to consider the project next Tuesday, November 18th, for approval for the project by adopting the CEQA findings, statement of overriding considerations, and mitigation measures that are within the SFMTA's purview. I just want to be clear that this project approval request is one of several regulatory steps required to advance the project to construction. There are a host of regulatory approvals and permits by local, regional, state, and federal agencies outside of the CEQA approval that are also needed to be approved before construction can start. Now, let me describe the existing bridge. On this slide, you can see in the red box, it's located.
Can you advance the slides, please? Because is this
This is does it show location and vicinity?
it just shows the first, all I see is the first slide. I don't know if you
Oh.
guys
Okay, it should be on the
I
seventh.
think you should be on the 7th slide, right?
Yeah, so that's not showing now. It doesn't say location and vicinity.
No.
No, you need to click on maybe
Okay.
that slide.
Try to reshare. Is that showing? Sorry, my screen shows what I see and it may not be showing what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's loading. It's loading on my screen. Okay, here we go. We can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. So if I start directly from the beginning, these were the slides that went with my narrative, just a little description of what I described each department's role
Yes.
and the various stakeholders that are outside of CEQA that we're working with. And then now we're on this slide showing the vicinity of the bridge. Do you see that?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
So the red box shows where the bridge is located on 3rd Street, south of Cesar Chavez, north of Evans, crossing the Islas Channel. Some of the existing conditions include high tides that periodically flood the machine pits for the existing drawbridge. You can see the water line here in these photos is above the access door. And during rough storm surge or consideration of future sea level rise, the underside of the bridge structure will be regularly submerged in salt water. It may not be apparent, but this 75-year-old bridge with saltwater spray and repeated heavy use by trucks and trains has led to corrosion and fatigue cracking at some of the steel elements. From the top side of the bridge, the steel decking is severely cracked and broken with a quilt of temporary patches that require frequent short-duration closures for emergency repairs. The sidewalk grading on both sides also has major deterioration. From a regional flood study done by the Port and the Army Corps, flooding is a possibility now. with increased likelihood and frequency in the next 20 years based on projected sea level rise. So based on this condition survey and the need to continue to maintain this vital infrastructure, the project sponsor, Public Works, set out goals and objectives when contemplating how to address these deficiencies. These include fixing the structural and seismic deficiencies while increasing the serviceability and clearance for sea level rise. We also need to consider the impacts to the users and community members and do what we can to build long-term resilient structures and minimize the construction downtimes. Since the bridge is being replaced, we have an opportunity to construct better sidewalks and protected bike lanes to make all modes of transportation more appealing and safer. The proposed design is a fixed span concrete adjacent box beam bridge to replace a double leaf steel bascule span drawbridge that no longer serves a maritime purpose. Here is a typical cross section of the proposed bridge. And here is a rendering of what the new bridge would look like. This slide is here to show the area of the construction from above. The red box is the bridge itself, and the blue is the regraded approach slabs to increase the clearance over the water. Here you can see some of the constraints with adjacent private property, the fire station, a pump station, an active freight rail line, all in close proximity to the bridge. And the project is fairly hemmed in, which limits our ability on creative solutions to the problems I described earlier. Now, after several years of in-depth technical studies done in development of the draft EIR, several impacts were identified, with a few topics deemed significant impacts, such as tribal resources, transportation, air quality, biological resources, and built resources. Many of those impacts were studied further with mitigations proposed and analyzed to see if they could lessen the impact to what's called less than significant. These mitigation measures are listed in the slide. I don't want to go through all of them here in the essence of time, but the EIR goes in depth to demonstrate how the impacts are reduced or addressed by implementation of these mitigation measures. Unfortunately, not all impacts can be avoided or reduced with mitigation, and two areas that remain significant and unavoidable even with mitigation are transportation impacts and built resources. The latter referring to the fact that we're demolishing a historic resource. There's no avoiding that without avoiding bridge replacement, which could be done but would not achieve the project's stated objectives. The other significant impact is transportation, simply due to the limited geographic options for detours and severing the T-line south of the Muni Yard. For each of these, mitigation measures have been proposed to help lessen the impact. This slide is showing the timeline of the environmental review. We've been through the draft and final EIR preparation and review. And now that the EIR has been certified by planning last week, we're looking to complete the CEQA process with project approvals by the stakeholder departments this month. This slide is just showing the environmental process took place in parallel with public outreach. It began with early outreach associated with the environmental review, followed by community outreach and presentations to inform community members about the project and raise awareness about public engagement process and the future transportation mobility strategy, with further engagement specific to solving the transportation challenges. Also, as we get closer to construction and during construction, there'll be detailed community outreach. This slide lists some of the specific groups Public Works and MTA jointly met with over the past 18 months. And we're using multiple methods to try to broaden our outreach and awareness about the project and coordinate with other vicinity projects being contemplated by other departments. So all of this culminates in our CEQA findings, SOC, and MMRP. The findings summarize the project as it was studied and analyzed in the environmental review. The statement of overriding considerations is a conclusion that despite the significant impacts that can't be avoided, even with mitigation, the project still provides essentially more good than harm, and Public Works recognizes the trade-off. The Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, called MMRP, is a cleanly spelled out agreement about what Public Works must commit to in order to comply with the mitigation requirements if they want to pursue the project. So what we're asking for in this hearing is for the Public Works Director to approve the project by adopting the aforementioned findings, statement of overriding considerations, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. Furthermore, through the order, we are encouraging the SFMTA to similarly adopt the mitigation measures that are within their jurisdiction when the project is heard at their board meeting next week. That concludes my presentation, and my colleagues from planning and MTA are on the call, and I also, and we're happy to address any public comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any hands up?
Officer Kintaylor, I do not see any hands up at this time.
Okay, so no public comments. In the absence of hands or additional comments, I will go ahead and close this hearing. The order number 212284 is now closed. Thank
Thank you
you.
for your time.
Thank you, everyone. All right.
And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording at this time.
Thank you. All right.